How much does a BandAid cost in the hospital? Yeah, that's right. I don't sit around and wonder about these things, but some folks do. And you'll see stuff all the time about, well, this Band-Aid that was on on my bill. They charge $8 for a Band-Aid. I can get a whole box for 59 cents. Or an aspirin. I mean, you charge $15 for an aspirin. Come on. You know how many bottles I can get at Costco? 500 aspirin for that kind of money, 1,000 aspirin. I mean, what is going on out there with all of these hospitals and doctors and everybody else just charging outrageous prices for health care? No wonder this country's in bad shape. Yeah, okay. This is Bob Vineyard, your Medicare expert with the Georgia Medicare Minute. You may or may not have heard discussions or read things about healthcare price transparency. It's back in the news again. And it's something that's been discussed for the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years, maybe longer. And nobody's ever done anything about it, And so it's kind of like, but we're going to keep talking about it, and now DC is going to fix it. Yeah, right. Okay. All right, I'm going to tell you a story. And if you've seen some of my videos, you read my newsletter, then you know the story of when my wife Rachel tripped and fell about 2.5 years ago, and she broke her hip. And took her to the emergency room. Of course, we didn't know it was broken at the time. Took her to the emergency room, and they checked her out and did x-rays. And they said, yeah, ma'am, your hip is broken. We're going to admit you to the hospital, and you're going to have surgery tomorrow morning. Well, that was a shock. At that point, I wasn't really thinking about, well, how much is this bill going to run me? How much are we going to have to pay for that? We had insurance. It wasn't the best insurance in the world, but we had insurance. She was not on Medicare. She was Medicare eligible, but she was still working. She wanted to keep her employer group insurance plan. That's a whole nother story for something else another time. But the insurance was okay. It wasn't great. But that's okay. We had insurance, and I knew what the deductible was and, the out-of-pocket and so forth. And so I wasn't really worried about that. I was worried about, this is a weekend. Who is she going to get to do the surgery? Is the guy or gal going to be somebody that really knows what they're doing and they have experience, or am I going to pick, the resident who just graduated last week? It's kind of like, that's not what I'm interested in. I want to make sure that she gets the best of care, or and if I'm the one that's sick or has a problem, I want to make sure I get the best of care. If you watch movies and TV shows, somebody's being wheeled into the emergency room. Nobody ever says, well, can you see if you can find somebody really cheap to do this? Don't give her any of the expensive drugs. Give it a Tylenol, something like that. Can you just put an ace bandage around this thing and let's go? Nobody ever says that. They say, spare no expense. I want the best person money can buy. And that's the way we approach things in this country. It's not, like it or love it. That's, like it or not. That's the way we treat healthcare here, and we have a right to, because we're paying top dollar. We have a right to have good healthcare. That's the way I look at it. So anyway, yeah, she was admitted. Turns out she got a very good surgeon, one of the best ones in the city. And he did the surgery, and she was in the hospital for 4 days, maybe 5 days, I can't recall now, followed by 4 months of physical therapy. Well, the grand total, I won't break this down for you, but the grand total on everything, for the hospital, the surgeon, the anesthesiologist, the emergency room, and all the PT and everything, was $85,000. Well, that would scare me if I didn't have insurance. As it turned out, I ended up having to pay about $5,000, which, it's kind of like, but I had the money and I could do it. Um, and I had insurance, not great insurance, but I had insurance. So when it comes to health care, I really want to make sure that whoever is treating me or treating my wife or treating my kids or, even my friends, I want to make sure that they get the best of care. So I don't care about is the hospital the charge. Gosh, the hospital bill was like $42,000. Holy smokes. And I don't care that the insurance company took about a $25,000 discount on that, and I don't care that the insurance company, paid out, 8 or 10 or 12 or whatever it was. I don't really care about that. She got good care, and it was manageable. Now, in a non-emergency situation, I still don't care what the hospital charges or what the doctor charges. These people who are talking about healthcare price transparency, they seem to think that if the doctor says, well, you've got to have this procedure, you got to have this test, you've got to have so forth. Some people seem to think that if we've got healthcare price transparency, you're going to give me a menu, and I'll say, well, gosh, your prices are kind of steep, aren't they? I think I'll shop around and find somebody else, that might charge less. Nobody does that. I say, let me look at my plan and say, well, see, I've got a $500 deductible and so forth. Okay, well, all right. Well, if you think I need it, let's go ahead and do it. That's the way we approach things. And that's really the way you should. You should be concerned about, is it quality care? Am I going to be better off afterwards? And I'll come out with some way to pay the bill. If I have to put it on MasterCard, if I have to borrow money from my brother or, something like that, we'll come up with the money for it. Just make sure I get the best of care. And if you think I'm wrong about that, well, we just have to agree to disagree. Because I'm more interested in quality care. I want to make sure that the people who are treating me, treating my wife, treating my family, I want to make sure that they get the best of care, and we'll worry about the money later. That's my approach. This is Bob Vineyard, your Medicare expert with the Georgia Medicare Minute. You take care. Have a great day.